Hey there, people. It's New Year's Eve. It might even be New Year's somewhere. What time is it? It says it's almost 7 o'clock. 9 minutes to go. In what country? Shall we celebrate Greenland's New Year's Eve together? How you doing? How's it been? We ready? It's just another day, basically. Um, but I think it's kind of handy to have an end of the year thing, and you attempt to I don't know, envision or reset or imagine something called progress. Um, what does that mean? Progress, life moving forward. The river does not stop. It never stops, even if no, no. I'm going to check myself about well about civilization and humanity and the dream. Keep the dream alive. My mom carried a sign into some protest, and I wanted to post that because that struck me as a beautiful sentiment, particularly when you think like what dream, where are we going, what is progress, and um, I don't know, like heck or hell, where the hell are we going? Is this progress? Are you kidding me? Ah, I got a couple of quotes. I got a couple of things to read. I don't know, what was I wanting to do? But it's New Year's Eve, and I got a few lights up above, and I got into my apartment here in San Anselmo, and things were popping. And I had little explosions going on. I had to clean up. I had to figure out were my Christmas lights were they were they exploding? I think it was ants in my surge protector. It was like a pop pop. Got me nervous to clean up my all that electronic debris space. And, uh, breathe, guy. Anyways, I have had a drink of wine, and hope that doesn't interfere with a simple communication. It is New Year's Eve. Taking a little liberties here, and in review, running for office in California, I did. Town of San Anselmo, got defeated handily, wasn't really even in the running, and that's okay. It's just okay. Just it happened, and I felt good. I felt great about running for office and feeling that sense of commitment that there was um, that I had to stand up and speak my piece. I don't think I was. I think I still am not an assertive enough human being to. But I don't know. There were just forces and just life itself. It was what it was, and didn't make hardly any impact. It seems to me. Um, People looking at me like curiously, like liberty and ecology. What could be the problem, guy? Or wait a minute, do they even work together? Anyhow, I think so. I think so. I'm going to run by a few quotes here to start my little, give a few minutes of this talk. This is, what do I got here? It says Plato. Some people think of Plato, and I always think of Socrates. Uh, Plato wrote a lot of stuff from ancient Greece. I think it was about 400 BC. Um, previous. I should have checked this out. 300 or 400 years before Christ for Jesus, which is the reason why we're at 2023, as you know, because all the schedule of time is based on his life and death. But Socrates was in 400 AD and this 400 BC. Let's just say that, knowing I could be off by a couple of hundred centuries. I don't really have that right here for me. Don't get scattered, guy. So I'm just going to read this quote. This is from the introduction. Although the unexamined life may not be worth living, according to Socrates, that was his famous line, the fully examined life cannot be lived, period. Socrates is condemned to death for impiety because his cross-examination disturbs the intellectual inertia and moral complacency which seem to be indispensable to the consolidation of public opinion, and hence to the political stability of society. In other words, this gentleman in ancient Greece, his name was Socrates. He used to wander around. He was an old guy. He was probably close to my age when they finally made him drink some hemlock and basically sentenced him to death for corrupting the youth and for questioning the gods of Athens. So Athens, Greece, was really the foundation of what we think of as modern democracy. But Socrates wanted to examine, and everybody to examine, what they think they know and what they do know, and to seek the truth. Socrates defends his cross-examinations as a pious obligation to the state, which he cannot relinquish even under the pressure of public opinion. This person who wrote the introduction goes on to say, public opinion is impious in that it ignores all obligations. It is politically as well as intellectually irresponsible. Athenian society has not actually attained political stability during Socrates' lifetime, but has swung from a democratic to a totalitarian regime and back to a democratic regime. He has been threatened with reprisals for his unswerving refusal to align his own actions with these fluctuations. But his example has thereby supplied a definition of loyalty that has not elsewhere been available in Athenian political life. Athens has been on trial, and the unjust verdict condemning him is actually the self-condemnation of a corrupt society. So the Athenians, something like 280 to 230, they all had a vote, condemned him to death for corrupting the morals of the youth and for going around and questioning the old people who ran Athens. Back in America, I think there's good news. So I think we're kind of there's opportunity. We're waking up. I'm going to quote Mick LaSalle, San Francisco Chronicle film reviewer. Okay. And I think he's hitting on a theme that we're all ready to fundamentally accept. He's writing about a movie. I guess the movie is called This Place Rules, which I might have to go see it. It's by an amateur filmmaker who kind of covered the politics of the Trump world in 2020. And 2020, Callahan was 23, decided to live out of a Winnebago and traveled to protests and travel spots throughout the country, doing man-on-the-street interviews for his YouTube channel. And Mr. Callahan apparently has attempted to be not too tended to be fair, I suppose that would be the way to say it. But what I like what Mick LaSalle says. Mick LaSalle is a reviewer for the San Francisco Chronicle, film reviewer. I've been aware of his reviews for quite a few years now, 10, 20 years. I don't know. It's been a long time. He's a good reviewer. And I probably don't agree with him 50% of the time, but he's got a sense of humor and he's pretty sharp. And I'm just going to quote him in saying, Callahan encapsulates in those few seconds, listen to this, people, in those few seconds, the crushing, monumental, and unfathomable idiocy of our current political discourse. Whew. Thank you for saying that, Mick. he mentions a scene where a Trump fanatic is on a street banging on a drum, angrily insisting that the 2022 election was stolen. An equally outraged woman approaches and tells him that he has no right to use that drum because it's a Native American instrument. Cultural appropriator, she yells at him. And so Callahan encapsulated the crushing, monumental, unfathomable idiocy of our current political discourse. And they would put somebody like Socrates to death, if you could be a good Socrates. Here's a book, it's an interesting book. Last night in the middle of my insomnia, in order to get out of whatever I was reading, it says Beyond Growth. And this is like 1995. This is all like buried archaeological remnants. No one's ever heard of such a thing as beyond growth. The modern liberal establishment embraces growth. As a matter of fact, mandates growth as part of the California state laws now. We have to grow. Beyond growth? I don't know who that would be. Some old-fashioned conservative. And what do you know? It's printed by the Beacon Press. We won't get into that at the moment. But there's like some basic concepts about our civilization and how do we at least acknowledge, I mean, we're full with self-incriminations and hatred against all the oppressive forces of capitalism and colonialism and God knows what. We it's just horrible. Here comes, what do we got now? We're gonna, God, what's the word? Oh my, it's so hard getting old. Not repatriations, because that would be sending you back to a country. Oh Lord, my, oh my. The Ponzi scheme. And let's get into that. You can think about cryptocurrency. I mean, FTX. What about cryptocurrency in general? Don't look at that. What about our whole system in general? 30 trillion in debt, and the Democrats are forcing us to be a civilization of monumental growth because you just shovel money and think that that's going to solve anything, or it's just the international debt impasse is a clear symptom of the basic disease of growth mania. To many, accumulations of money are seeking ways to grow exponentially in a world in which the physical scale of the economy is already so large relative to the ecosystem that there is not much room left for growth or anything that has a physical dimension. Basically, a little quote there. This guy is good. This stuff is from 1995. It's, God, that's old already. Is that 30 years old? I'm losing track of time, almost. This is about the mistake of the current Democratic Party, Biden, the belief that you just keep shoveling this $1 trillion into the furnace and you're transforming something. Not transforming anything. You're burning up the planet. That's all it is, burning up the planet. You can. For God's sakes, I'm not prepared as usual. The concept of GNP, the measure of the welfare of a civilization, most of us know this, it's absurd. We are cannibalizing ourselves, our planet, our children, with this growth concept. And it's beyond the fight against capitalism. It's well beyond that. It's a sense of who are we as a civilization, and why not? Why not look for stable population, stable growth? What would it mean to simply say to the people of the rest of the world, like JFK attempted to do, or did say, in fact, in the inauguration of 1960, almost 60 years ago. Yes, 60 years ago, more. And that's it's unbelievable that progress is so non-existent, and the progressives are so lost that Kennedy not only said, that's not what your country can do for you, what you can do for your country, but he said, and for you, the people of the rest of the world, ask not what America can do for you, but what can you do for your own freedom in your own country? I mean, there was this optimism, this sense of empowerment that we were trying to command the world and ourselves to achieve. And Kennedy was assassinated after 3 years because of his ongoing rebellion against his military advisors and the American security state in general. Martin Luther King was assassinated a few years later. The loss of Jimi Hendrix or Malcolm X or Janis Joplin, or all the vision of the destruction in the 80s of the Sierra Club being no longer allowed to even mention population growth as an issue in environment. The Barbara Jordan's attempt in 1995 to lead a nonpartisan Republicans and Democrats look at immigration, to look upon it as what is the ramifications of ongoing ever more and more population increase in the USA. It was ignored. She died within a year after the rejection of her proposals. She was a Freedom Award Black woman from Texas. If people ask you, and some people have, I want to thank you, Mark, for saying that. Who are you, guy? Well, I'm a Barbara Jordan Democrat, but it looks more and more like being a Republican in some level. And Republicans got a dirty name, but Republicans goes back to, it's of the people. And if you were a Republican during the Spanish Civil War, if you were a Republican during the French Revolution, you were a Republican during the American Civil War, you were for the people. And I don't know, the Republican Party, and as it exists in the USA, I'm not sure, is it passe? Is it ready to morph and to become a party to recognize the corporate government complex, the government corporate insanity of growth forever? And then how do we keep a free people if we say no to having a growth rate well exceeding that of India or China? Why should the USA be doing this? 5 million people since Biden took office. They're lining up. They're not lining up. They're coming through the border. Oh, well there's nobody to work at Walgreens in Damariscotta. I don't know. It's a mystery. We have to stand up for this country and obey enforce the laws, and because maybe it is the path through for the whole planet to wake up. Anyways, cheers, everybody. God bless. Holy cow. It's what it is. 2023 coming up.